Chapter 1. There's a sacred rite all captains go through, whether of sea or sky, that turns any fledgling into the thick-blooded, heartless bastard they need to be. Every captain at some point in their career will reach the same precipice. The day when you want to murder every last member aboard your ship. For me, I'd reached the precipice and was ready to dive to the depths. Voices rose, coming from the end of the hallway. The splintered floorboards creaked under my heavy leather boots as I made my way down. Most of the crew had congregated in the mess hall, since instead of eating their damn breakfast, they'd rather run their mouths. With the door wide open, the sense of Adele's biscuits and gravy caused my stomach to rumble. I cracked my knuckles upon approach, trying to rein in my temper. To be fair, the week-long stretch in the air and the low-paying shitty jobs were partially culprit. However, the main reason everyone took to shouting like the end of days was nigh had to do with a certain letter delivered by Sparrow and addressed to our favorite ex-gypsy, Isabella. One thing you don't do is threaten one of ours. I learned that from a wise old war dog once upon a time. And ever since the letter arrived, Isabella had taken to pacing around below decks, keeping out of sight, or leaning on railings, lost in troubled thought. For the woman who never got ruffled to turn as neurotic as Edwin, the letter was 100% to blame. I paused by the door, listening to the deep, raised voices before peeking past the frame. In the past, I might have marched in and started shouting louder, but Morris had taught me better. Instead, my fingers threatened to burrow into the wood grain. I might have some restraint, but I never claimed perfection.
Those are ties that can't be debated. Gypsies are roamers, but when called upon, blood unites.
Mordecai's voice rang loud and clear.
What about loyalty to the ship?
Jack argued. Ever since our big tumble against the Brits and Morlocks, he'd been growing stronger, bolder. Exactly the sort of spirit I wanted to see from my crew, although not what I needed to deal with right now. Once a lookout, he had long since graduated and had become a promising recon man. Where before he had been all knees and elbows, now he'd started filling out with muscle from training drill after drill. He'd collected a couple of scars from his first mission out as well, though compared to vets like Isabella or Jeff, he was untested. His face had reddened during their argument, the color reaching all the way up to his crew cut. Those dark eyes flashed in challenge, the pure opposite of Mordecai's unruffled calm. Our resident man of enigma leaned against the wall, pinning Jack with his gaze and keeping the same vice grip of his emotions I'd expect from a pro like him. His normal trench coat had been shed from all the blasted heat and backed-up ventilation on board, so he wore a pair of loose black pants and kept the sleeves of his red shirt rolled to the elbow. He'd even taken to pulling his long blonde hair into a ponytail that put mine to shame, though with my poor grooming as of late, it wouldn't be hard. Of course, the two of them were jawing off in a room full of other crew members, most of who were trying to eat. So, on top of disrupting their meals, they were also airing out Isabella's business to everyone and their mother. A couple glances swung their way, apart from Edwin, who sat in the corner table tinkering with some number of colored liquids, each probably holding the ability to blow up our ship. I heaved a weary sigh. Diplomacy. Right. "You guys," I said as I stepped in, trying to keep my voice as sweet as possible. They stopped dead in their argument. Jack blinked at me like a startled lamb, and Mordecai raised one brow. So maybe I didn't do sweet well. I rolled my eyes and crossed my arms over my chest. Screw diplomacy. "Are either of you Isabella?" I asked. Some of my irritation must have been leaking through because both of them fell silent. "Didn't think so. Look, I get it. You're concerned. But part of trusting your crew is also trusting them to make the right call. She knows we'd back her, whatever the outcome. So it's time to stop arguing about her personal affairs and start worrying about where we're getting our next paycheck from."